morning. I am Karen Boyd. I am the co-president of the Asheville Area Piano Forum, which is a nonprofit group that seeks to promote music education and the love of piano music throughout the Asheville area. And this morning we have with us Stephanie Quinn, who is a professional violinist and pianist living in Asheville, and we have a little talk we'd like to have about the teacher-parent triangle. So Stephanie, can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and your father, Mark Erlanson? Erlanson, thank you. Mark Erlanson, who I understand is successful in his own right, and had some very special qualities that I'm thinking maybe you picked up on in your professional career. Is that right?
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I'd love to show you some pictures of my parents.
Okay.
This one is my mom and dad.
Oh, they're lovely looking. So nice.
Yeah. And this is one they're particularly proud of, and I got a copy of it. They're with Pierre Boulez and his partner.
Oh, you're kidding!
Have you ever seen? Yeah.
Oh, wow! You know, Pierre Boulez visited my school in college, conducted at Oberlin one year when I was there.
Well, there he is.
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful shot.
And then I thought I'd show you some pictures. This is when they were married. So you can see a good idea what they looked like when they were young. And then,
beautiful.
This is a picture of the whole family. So there are 4 kids.
Where are you? You're up at, oh, I see.
I'm leaning down because I'm tall.
Yeah.
And then this one is my brother, Arnold. And this one is my sister, Laurel. Everybody took piano lessons, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
All 4 of the kids?
All 4 of us.
Oh, boy.
And this is my brother, Morgan. He's very close to me in age.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm the oldest.
Aha!
Boss lady.
Yes.
Yes, I was raised by Margaret and Virginia Erlanson in Oswego, Illinois. After I was an adult, he had the opportunity to develop Circle Systems into a global company. The products are non-destructive for the environment, and they're used to test steel to make planes and trains safe for riding.
Oh my.
But in a nutshell, that's what he does. Long ago, while he was building his career, he supported the family while my mom stayed home and took care of those 4 kids you just saw in the picture. I was impressed that any work he took on involved a product that was helpful to others. So he's made the world a better place, and I strive to follow in his fine example.
Well, it sounds like you are doing that with your music for sure. And I would like to talk a little bit more about Dr. Suzuki's concept of the teacher-parent-student triangle, all 3 components being necessary for music development, I understand. And I'd like to find out how that operated in your life, Stephanie.
Great. I think it's very important. I've wanted to talk about this for a long time. First of all, Dr. Suzuki brought it more into the forefront of modern life because back in the day with Brahms, Bach practiced with all of his children, by the way. Did you know that? He taught them all. All of them. That's what came up in a paper.
How did he have time to write anything?
The guy
wrote it for him, I guess.
I know. But this is the way it was always done.
Right.
Even Evgeny Kissin traveled on his tours with his mom and his teacher.
Right.
So, but Dr. Suzuki brought it back to the forefront into our busy society to bring that old tradition back. It's imperative that the teacher and the student and the parent all cooperate. Here's a triangle. Sorry?
Here it is.
Yeah, there we go. So the student and the parent cannot learn the music without the teacher. And the parent and the teacher cannot educate an unwilling child.
Huh.
The teacher and the student cannot succeed without the support of the parent.
Well, I know we're going to be exploring even more the relationship your parents and you as a student had to your education, but what role did your teachers actually play for you in this?
Sure.
What was their teaching like?
My teachers chose music that fit my temperament and my personality at each given stage of my development, and that kept me inspired. And my mom was willing to get us up early every Saturday and drive an hour each way to Chicago for our lessons. My lessons were at the American Conservatory of Music. It took much of the day. Sometimes we didn't get back till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh no, on the Saturday?
I know. Well, after the Chicago Youth Symphony orchestra thing got added to the schedule, we would be out all day until about 3.
Phew.
So this is Carmen. She's invited herself. She's named after the opera character.
Sweet kitty.
She is fantastic.
So that's such a sacrifice on your parents' part, as well as your part, to give up your Saturdays for music education that way.
But you forgot one thing. Across from the American Conservatory of Music was the Art Institute. And that was one of my mother's favorite things to do because she could come out of that small town every week and go to the Art Institute. She loved art. And sometimes she got a haircut.
Oh boy, that sounds like a wonderful environment for learning the arts. It really does. But you must have had some challenges nevertheless, even with all the support you were given. What was your biggest challenge with study?
Well, it was practicing.
How unusual.
Well, I was really lazy about the practicing. 3 hours a day, when my teachers asked for that, that seemed like an awful lot of time away from my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And so did you just go off into your little corner with the piano and practice, or did you get encouragement from your parents? What took place there?
Well, I was very fortunate. I don't know if my mother was aware that Mozart and Beethoven and Bach did not practice alone. All I know is that she was very dedicated, and she would spend every day at my side.
Really?
For 3 years to make sure I did the assignment just right.
Gosh.
And as an adult, and this was for 3 years, and as an adult, I look back on that with just a sense of awe. You know what's even more amazing is she did that for all 4 kids.
Oh boy. And so how much did you practice?
3 hours a day.
3 hours a day?
Yeah.
For most people, that seems like an awful lot of practice.
Well, it is. And I always grew up with Siamese cats, by the way. And so, kind of like what we're seeing right now, they always kept...
kitties encouraged you.
Well, they were always around and sitting on my lap while practicing and things like that. But it is a lot of practice. But if a child has talent, why not develop it? My dad told me about the parable of the talents in the Bible, and that's in the book of Matthew, and that's chapter 25. Now that's a good thing to look up. Matthew chapter 25. Based on this, I understood that I was mandated to use my talent and expand it. And my dad uses this also in his business. He's really big on developing and expanding ideas. So my parents told me to practice an hour before school. That was about 5:30 in the morning I got up. Okay, an hour before dinner and then another hour before bed. And that was a pretty organized way to do it. And of course I took lots of breaks too. Like every 10 minutes or 15 minutes I would do something else and come back to it.
Did you divide the practice between the violin and piano?
Yes. 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 The piano teacher wanted 1 hour. The violin teacher wanted 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I'm thinking about how you've used both violin and piano in your, musical life. And I've read your resume. You traveled a lot, and I was wondering if when you were a little kid, you ever dreamed that you'd be traveling and playing music.
Well, I've always been a curious person. When I was young, I wondered what was the world like outside Oswego. this place only had 2,000 people.
Uh-huh.
I mean, for fun, we would go
Right.
watch the corn grow. I mean,
Yeah.
it was nothing much, nothing much happening out there. So my parents took us to live concerts, and I noticed that the soloists were usually from foreign countries. So I thought to myself, maybe I'm going to be going around the world one day with my music.
So it was kind of a dream.
I kind of wondered. I wondered what it was like out there, and then when my talent was discovered around the age of 9, my dad told me that I was beautiful, talented, and intelligent, and that I could do anything I wanted in the world. So whenever I felt discouraged, he repeated it often.
Yeah,
That's why, I mean, it was kind of a mantra.
Good parent, yeah.
Now he didn't say, go work hard. He just would affirm this, and he inspired and empowered me and made me feel like I really could do anything I wanted in the world. Right. He also said, do what your teacher says.
Oh, good for him.
So our teachers told me how much to practice, and I did it. I just did it.
Right. And were there any other motivations that you would recommend, or for students?
Well, help yourself, Karen. Is it okay if she jumps over on you?
Oh yeah,
it might happen.
I love it.
Well, great. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Practice for pets. Of course, you love it.
Of course.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Well, it wasn't always that easy. Now we have to talk about the tough role that my mother played in the teacher-student-parent model.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day, my mother gave me a behavioral standard. If I did not practice, the lessons would not go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd make myself go to the violin and go to the piano. My mom told me years later that once she got me in there and started, that I would just continue on my own, and I was okay, and she could get on with her, whatever she was doing. But getting over to the instrument was a daily struggle. If my mom had not pressured me, I would not be here today as a self-supporting musician, that's for sure.
So she used a little tough love there, it sounds like.
That's another nice way to put it. Now, Karen, you yourself came up with an innovative practice. Like, it's called Practice for Pets.
Oh, yeah.
So during the cold month of what is it, February?
Yeah. Have a heart for the Humane Society.
I love it. It's a little cold here in Asheville in February, so that was a great month to do it because everybody's cooped up.
Yeah.
Cooped up, what else are you going to do? You're going to practice, and then they get sponsors. They log all their hours. Mm-hmm. I have my students do that, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then they get a sponsor to pay them for the practice time.
Right, it's sort of like those marathon, a biking marathon, how they pay 50 cents for every hour they bike or something like that. It's the same thing with the practice. For every hour they practice, someone might sponsor them 10 cents, another person might sponsor them $1 an hour. It's up to each individual how they want to do that, but we've raised over $2,000 for, I don't know how many years. I think it's about 16 years we've done Practice for Pets, and over time it's added up to quite a bit of money, quite a bit of support. So it's a great thing, and the kids win prizes, and for who practices the most and who raises the most money. So, but back a little bit more to...
That's such a creative competition.
Well...
Is it just for the Asheville area piano forum, or is it something... It is. So we can't take your sheets and distribute them in Illinois?
I stole the idea from a little boy who came up with that idea in Illinois, I think was or Ohio or someplace. Years and years ago, I read about it in a music magazine, and so I stole that idea, but I don't think the Humane Society cares from whence it came.
Right.
So, is there anything else parents can do with talented children?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Providing them with a fine instrument.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Oh boy, I've seen kids suffer so much because I had a young student this past year. She was on a small keyboard and she wasn't advancing very much. Well, she got a real piano, and one that had all the keys and was, you know, you could feel the sensitivity of the keys, and it's been like night and day. She now is really practicing easily, and she loves music, so that was never the problem. So yeah, it makes a difference. Tell us about your experience.
Well, I was awarded 2 precious instruments.
Really?
One was a no-cost loan of a 3/4 size Gagliano
Oh boy.
violin.
Yeah.
That's up there near Guarnerian Stradivari.
Right.
You know,
Oh, that's
it's a very
amazing.
a very fine instrument. And the other was a vintage year Steinway Model B, the 7-foot.
How did you get that?
Well, now you parents out there who thinks that I came from a wealthy family, I did not. Way back then, my dad was early in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not able to
Right.
afford any Steinway. We had some kind of old Everett or something that I was practicing, banging on or whatever. So anyway, the widow of a concert pianist had that Steinway B, and she was offering it to a deserving student. She was impressed enough with my performance to sell it to my parents for me for a nominal price. Training on that precious Steinway in my youth was an amazing privilege and an advantage.
I'm sure it was, yeah. I had a family Steinway, and you know, I was so lucky, you know, to
Is that
have
the one
in
you,
my
is that the
family.
one you still have?
No, it is not. I've been through many piano transformations.
Oh my gosh.
Well, learning about your early years in music, it kind of explains why you've been able to really take this music and make a real career from it. Are there other things you'd like to share with us about this?
Well, sure. I've often wanted to speak more broadly on the subject of the parent-teacher-student triangle. So I'll just summarize.
Good.
I'm just going to say to your parents out there, first, get the best teacher you can find. And secondly, encourage your children to practice many hours. Be like the parents of Mozart and Bach and Beethoven. Why not? Turn off the screens. Practice with them. Go to concerts. These are all life-enhancing activities for everyone. And also, remember, oftentimes a gifted child's performance earns a student what they need to move forward. It could be a fine instrument, it could be a conservatory scholarship, it could even be a job eventually to support themselves.
Right. Well, this has been so I hope it's of good value for all of you watching this discussion. It, I think, really shows what can happen when the 3 sides of that triangle come together and can produce a wonderful musician as Stephanie is. So thank you for being with us today, Stephanie.
You're welcome, and I'm happy to be here too. I'd like to express my appreciation for the Music Teachers National Association, and especially the Asheville Area Piano Forum. My first friend in Asheville, you know, was Ruth Johnson, Receiver Johnson, yeah. I found much enrichment and support among the talented and very impressive membership. It's such an eclectic and creative group of people.
It is. We have not just teachers, but adult students and just people who love piano music, and we are so happy that you are one of our members.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.